Tender spot in my heart for cripples, bastards, and broken things.
Hey everyone, Queen of Maine here. Dropping our first content video. Today we are talking theory time. So we got a couple of theories, one of them being, is the Night King a green-seer? And then the other theory is, what does the Night King want? So first let's jump right in. Just want to shout out to the co-creators on this page. They will also have separate theory videos that they will drop at some point. That is Faceless J and Peter the Noble. Alright, so getting started. Is the Night King a green-seer? In short, yes, he is. That's the easiest way to say it, just yes. Some examples, just to make this more concrete. So let's think, for example, we've got the theory that's out there that Bran is in fact the Night King. If that were true, then therefore the Night King would in fact be a green-seer. However, where that hasn't been confirmed on the show, I went and looked at some of the things that have happened in the series thus far that have given me clues as to why I believe he is in fact a green-seer. So the Night King may be stronger in his abilities than Bran currently is, as he's still learning. When he marks Bran, the Blood Raven who's in the visions with Bran can touch him and nothing happens. Could argue that it's different magic, which is why it does nothing when the Blood Raven does touch Bran. It seems that every time we see Bran try to green-see or warg into or near where the Night King is, he gets knocked out of it as soon as the Night King realizes that he's doing it or that he's there. The Night King always seems to be one step ahead of everyone. Currently, minus that Bran was able to see them marching beforehand, and we also know that the Hound has seen the visions in the flame of them marching as well. So we do know that Bran was able to foresee the events happening before the Night King actually did arrive. However, I do think that the Night King has that same ability. He can see into the future. When Bran got marked by the Night King, it was because the Night King knew he was there. Many other times in the visions we see it as though he can be heard as a faint whisper. So for example, Bran and the Tower of Joy. He calls out to his father. Ned turns, but sees nothing, only thinks he hears something, but not enough to make out what it might be. He looks in the direction of where Bran was when he was speaking. Then if you fast forward to Willis, aka Hodor, poor Hodor, rest in peace Hodor, we miss you. Hopefully he doesn't come back as a white Hodor. But anyway, he can't see Bran when he becomes Hodor, but he can hear Mira saying, "Hold the door," which is what forces him to go into a convulsion and then alter him as a being. The only ones who have physically seen or touched Bran during his green-seeing are the Blood Raven and the Night King. Now let's go fast forward into Season 7, Beyond the Wall. That was a big one that helped to concrete this theory for me. We learn that each White Walker controls an army of whites, that they presumably turn themselves, or, that's just an assumption. When Jon kills the White Walker, or all of the whites that are with that group die, except for one, which means he had to have been planted there, which means, therefore, again, the Night King would have to green-see to be able to see into the future, to know what was going to take place in order to plant said white with said White Walker and his little group there. Now let's also look at the chains for Viserion. Again, a lot of people argued this was a plot hole in the series, but I don't think so. I think this was planned accordingly. Think back to Hardhome. These chains could have been obtained during Hardhome. They're big enough to hold ship anchors, and the only place we've seen the Night King encounter a body of water with ships was back at Hardhome. Now, why would he randomly grab chains unless he knew that he would later need them? I think he knew these events would play out, so he prepared for it. The army of whites that surrounded the lake, where Jon and his party were held up in this episode, did not attack until the Hound threw that stone, which, again, I guarantee you, all of you agree with me, that was the stupidest thing that anyone could have done. Why didn't Jon, at that present moment after he threw the first stone, stop him? Again, lots of things that Didn't make too much sense with season 7, but we won't get into that. That's a whole nother video's worth. However, the Night King brings winter and storms with him whenever we see him. Couldn't he have frozen that lake over many times rather than just wait? He knew what was coming, Dany and her dragons. So therefore, it was all meticulously planned. He knew that shortly after those whites started attacking, the dragons would come, and therefore he would obtain one of the things that he has been looking for. So, that goes to say that he would need the chains from Hardhome, which is where I'm assuming he would have grabbed them from. This is the only place we would have seen those chains, to drag the dragon from the icy waters, which could also be why he decided not to freeze the lake beforehand. He wanted to make it a little easier to retrieve Viserion. Now, getting back into that, because I know there's going to be a bunch of people that disagree with the whole idea of the icy waters and Hardhome and getting the chains from the ships. But look at it this way. Yes, they did say in the series when Euron asked Jon in season 7, can they swim? And he said no. They may not be able to swim, but if you think like Pirates of the Caribbean, I believe it was the very first one that they came out with, and the scene that they had where, again, these are two totally different things, guys, but it's a way that I can kind of think of it. Think of when it's moonlight and the pirates are underwater and they're nothing but skeletons, but they're walking on the bottom of the ocean. It's quite possible that these corpses could do the same thing. And also think back to season 7 in Beyond the Wall when they almost dragged Tormund into the water. They jumped from the water and grabbed Tormund's legs, so therefore they were already in the water. So I'm not saying they can swim, but I'm not discrediting either. I'm not discrediting that they can't walk, or, you know, there's so much that we don't really know, which makes it hard, and that's why we come up with these awesome theories. So I also feel like the Night King baited Bran, going back to the point where he was marked. Knowing that he's going to Warg to see where he was. Another situation, he baited him in the sense that he knew Bran would tell Jon, who's with Dany at the time, that the dragon, and she has dragons, that she would come with her dragons and he could obtain one. He played Bran right into his plan. So that's my Night King green-seer theory. I think it's pretty concrete. There's lots of evidence to support it. And anyone that doubts the idea about seeing into the future as a green-seer, it's been proven by Bran. He has had future visions. Just throwing that out there. So let's jump into, what does the Night King want? The Night King, it can be argued that he would want a couple of different things. And put your tinfoil hats on, people, because this one could get a little crazy. Part of me believes a couple of different things may have set the Night King and his White Walkers and White Army south. There's a couple of different things in the series, such as the Red Comet, magic coming back, dragons, of course, and one that leads into my awesome theory is that because Craster's baby wasn't sacrificed, the Night King needs a new baby. Tinfoil hat ready? I'll give you a second. We all know that Azor Ahai is the prophecy of who will end the long night. Azor Ahai is or will be reborn, and I think the Night King wants to kill him or her, or it, we'll say, before history repeats itself. Now, thinking into season 8, I'm about 90% positive that Dany and Jon are going to have a child. I believe that this will be the prince who was promised, or Azor Ahai, or quite possibly, doesn't necessarily have to be. Again, this is the tinfoil hat part of this theory. Now, let's say, it doesn't matter if they have a boy or a girl, regardless, because they did say that in that prophecy, it's not specified for sex. It could be male or female. The Night King is a green-seer, and a skilled one at that. So in my previous part of this video, you've seen the details that I have mentioned about that. So the original long night ended, and the White King, sorry guys, totally messed that up. The Night King and White Walkers were forced back to the land of Neverwinter hundreds of years previous. Magic died, dragons died, and Westeros had a long summer. That we all know. When we start Season 1, Episode 1, we learn that the White Walkers have returned. During the episode at Craster's Keep, we also find out that for years Craster's been sacrificing his sons, and only boys, no girls. He keeps the girls to keep having male children with. So, and we kind of assume that the Night King is using them for his army, because in that scene that we see the Night King with the infant, he takes it back to the land of Neverwinter. He touches it, its eyes turn blue, such as he did with Viserion in Season 7. So we do know that this is a pact or treaty that he has with Craster, but nonetheless it's an agreement. So we see the Night King himself, when he sacrifices that child, we see 12 White Walkers behind him. That's the only time thus far in the series that we've seen this many White Walkers in his army. We've seen a group of 4 or 5 with him, but also we do know Sam killed 1, Jon has killed at least 2, maybe more. So Sam takes one of Craster's sons, as it's due to be sacrificed. Well, not necessarily as it's due, but as it's due to be stolen to be sacrificed. And he kills the White Walker hunting the child with dragonglass. Next thing you know, we start seeing more and more incidences of White Walkers. I believe at this time, the Night King starts to use his green-seeing abilities even more so, because, rewind, Season 1, Episode 1, the White Walkers clearly left a symbol for the Rangers to find, basically saying, we're here, we're coming for mankind. Now, anyway, so now that we know that he's used his abilities to green-see, I think he used them to find out where Craster's son is, i.e. Little Sam. In doing so, he sees how the events are going to unfold, that one day a Targaryen will become pregnant with another child who will be the new Azor Ahai, who will end the long night and kill the Night King once again. Or the new Night King, I should say. The Night King then decides he wants to capture Azor Ahai as an infant, to kill or turn him to make him part of his army and prevent history from repeating himself. See guys, tinfoil theory, telling you, it's totally crazy, but that's one that's kind of out there. So another kind of side theory or idea that ties in with this is maybe the reason he was turning the babies into White Walkers in the first place was because he knew that Azor Ahai would have to have some sort of either Valyrian or Northerners' blood. Not necessarily Starks, but again, the exact origin or heritage, I guess you could say, of Craster is still pretty blurry at this point. So the agreement he made was solely in the hopes that he would prevent history from repeating itself. So what do you guys think? Drop your comments below. I hope you enjoyed the content video. I know it's kind of short but sweet. Again, these are kind of in left field. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, comments, theories, ideas that you want to drop to us that we can utilize in one of our next videos, we will. You can also like us on Facebook. Give us a like on this video, please. Subscribe and share so we have more people that can come and enjoy our content. We also have a group page on Facebook called Cripples, Bastards, and Broken Things. You can find us on there. And we do also have another page that we all created for a fellow YouTuber, Sir Hunt's Reviews, called Ours is the Hunt. You can give us a search on that as well, and we'll add you there also. I hope everyone has a wonderful remainder of their evening or day. I'm not quite sure what time we'll be getting this uploaded. But until then, I hope you have a wonderful time enjoying our content.